What's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and taking doing a Ghoti deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because this deck just got some amazing support out of Alliance Insight that takes this deck to a whole new level. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of the notification squad, and definitely check the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Aspa School. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build, and an awesome new card that we just got out of Alliance Insight. This card is an awesome fact that when this card is normal summon, you can actually special summon a level 6 or lower fish monster from your hand in defense position, but banish when it leaves the field, which is a great ability to be able to use to help you instantly bring out a monster to your side of the field, like one of your level 2 tuners, so you can instantly step into your copy of Serpent of the Ghoti. This card also has the ability, if this card is banished, you can actually special summon this banished card in defense position, which is a great ability to instantly bring it back to your side of the field, so you can keep going in for some insane plays. But this card is definitely a 3-of in the build, and a card you always want to see in your opening hand. We then play 2 copies of Paces. Paces is really good in the deck as a 2-of because this card makes it super easy to synchro summon with the ability that you can actually banish this card you control to special summon a fish monster from the hand, except another copy of this card. Also, all of your tuner monsters that are Ghoti monsters actually share common effects that during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished, you can actually special summon this banished card, and during your opponent's main phase, if this card was special summoned this turn, quick effect, you can immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon a fish synchro monster using this card you control, which is an insane ability to help you instantly go in for a synchro play. And play a single copy of Shift. Shift is really good as a 1-of in the build because this card is good. You can banish this card from the graveyard to target a fish monster you control and it gains 500 attack points until the end of this turn, which is a pretty cool effect so we can instantly banish this card and bring it back on the follow-up so we can go in for a synchro play. And play a single copy of Ruby of the Ghoti. Ruby is really good as a 1-of in the build as this card helps out a lot in the deck with the ability that you can banish this card from your hand and then target a fish monster in your graveyard and banish it, helping you get additional monsters banished so you can bring them back. We play 2 copies of Merc of the Ghoti. Merc is really good as a 2-of in the build, and this card is basically an SP Little Knight, and one of my favorite cards in the entire build. With the ability if a fish monster is on the field, you can special summon this card from the hand, and if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can actually target one of those monsters and one of your banished level 6 or lower fish monsters, and banish both that opponent's monster and this card. And if you do, special summon your targeted monster, which is a great ability to instantly deal with cards on the field while also bringing back one of your fish. Also, it has the ability that during the standby phase of the next turn after this card is banished, you can special summon this banished card, which is a great effect to instantly bring back your copy of Merc. We then play 2 copies of Moonlight of the Ghoti. Now recently I've been playtesting this card at 2, and I really like this card at 2 in the build because of Aspen School, which is why I'm actually playing this card at 2 in the build, because this card has the effect that if it's normal or special summon, you can actually add a fish monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Moonlight. Then banish a fish monster from your hand or face up from the field, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to use, especially since your copy of Aspen School can easily summon it to your side of the field and grab the exact card that you need. This card also has an insane effect that if this card is banished, you can actually banish a fish monster from the hand graveyard or face up from the field, and then special summon this card, which is a pretty cool ability to be able to use to instantly bring it back to your side of the field, especially with your copy of Aspen School being able to bring itself back if it does get banished, which is pretty cool, which is why I've been playtesting this card at 2, and I've really liked it so far. We then play a single copy of Shade of the Ghoti. Shade is really good as a 1-of in the build, and just an awesome card overall in the deck because during the main phase, quick effect, you can banish 2 fish monsters from your hand and your graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, helping you get your fish out of the graveyard that might be stuck there to be able to bring this card out to your side of the field. And if this card is special summoned, you can actually target a face-up card on the field and banish when it leaves the field, and if this card is banished, you can actually banish a fish monster in the grave to add this card back to your hand, which is a pretty cool ability to instantly grab this card back. We then play 3 copies of Abyss Shark. Abyss Shark is definitely a 3-of in the build. It helps out so much in this deck as an extender, with the ability, if this card is going to be used for the XZ summon of a number monster, which we do play a copy of number 4 in the extract, it can be treated as a level 3, 4, or 5. And if all monsters you control are water monsters, minimum 1, you can special summon this card in the hand, and if you do, you get to add a level 3, 4, 5 fish monster from your deck to your hand, grabbing the exact card that you need off this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of White Sardine. White Sardine is just a really good extender in the build, letting you send a White Sardine from your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card from the hand. Also, if this card is special summoned from the graveyard, you can treat this card as a tuner this turn, which is a pretty cool effect. We then play 2 copies of Leaf Fish. Leaf Fish is great as a 2-of in the build and helps out a lot in this deck because this card is a walking Foolish Burial, and if it's summoned, you get to send a fish monster from your deck to the graveyard, and also banish this card in the graveyard to target 3 fish monster in the grave and shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card, which is a pretty cool ability. We then play a single copy of White Sunfish. White Sunfish is really good in the build, but I have bumped this card down to 1 in this deck, and this card has the ability, if this card's in the hand, you can target a level 4 or lower fish monster in the graveyard with the same name as a card that you control, and special summon this card if you do special summon that monster as well, which is a pretty cool ability to be able to use. And also, if this card is special summoned in the graveyard, it's treated as a tuner, which is a pretty cool effect to instantly bring this card out to your side of the field. We play a single copy of Silent Angler. Silent Angler is really good as just an extender in the build because if you control a water monster, you can special summon this card in the hand, but you cannot special summon monsters from your hand for the rest of the turn. We then finally play 3 copies of Ash Blossom to round out the monsters. Ash Blossom is really good as a 3-of in the build to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Gold Sarcophagus. Gold Sarcophagus is so powerful in the deck, helping you instantly banish a fish directly from your deck is just amazing. Then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is really good in the deck as a 1-of to basically just stop your opponent's hand traps when you're going in for all of your plays. And play a single copy of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is really good because you can actually use this card as an extender in the build, banishing a card from your deck, which is really cool to be able to do, but you can also use it to be able to stop your opponent's hand traps. This card is definitely a 1-of in the build. And play a single copy of the Most Distant Deepest Depths. This card is really good as a 1-of in the build, but I feel like you really only need a single copy. And this card has the ability, while you control a fish synchro monster, this card cannot be destroyed or banished by card effects. Also, this card has the ability you can banish a fish monster from your hand to the graveyard to add a Ghoti monster from your deck to your hand, and if a fish monster is normal or special summoned to your field while this card's in the grave, you can target a fish monster you control, banish it, and you add this card back to your hand, which is a pretty cool effect. We then play 3 copies of Fishin' Bids. Fishin' Bids is very, very interesting in this deck as a 3-of. And this card is an insane ability that at the start of the main phase 1, you banish a card from your hand and your opponent can banish 2 cards from their hand. And if they do not, you apply the ability to take 2 fish monsters from the deck and either banish both or send both to the graveyard, which is a pretty cool ability to help you just instantly banish 2 fish monsters to really get your plays going. Also, you cannot special them for the rest turn except fish monsters, which is totally fine. The only downside of this card is if you go up against Malice and they banish 2 cards from their hand, they're basically going to win the game. But against any other matchup, this card is actually insane to help you start your plays really rolling. We then play 3 copies of White Reincarnation. White Reincarnation is really good as a 3-of in the build and just such a powerful card. So when this card is activated, you get to add a fish monster with an effect that treats itself as a tuner from your deck to your hand, and once per turn, at the end of the damage step, if your white or a monster attacked, you can actually activate this effect. The attacking monster can make a second attack in a row, and once per turn, if a level 8 or higher fish synchro monster is special summoned from the graveyard, even during the damage step, you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, which is such a powerful effect to be able to use. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build, just to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. We then also play 3 copies of Dominus Impulse. Dominus Impulse is really good as a 3-of in the build, and just an awesome card overall in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from special summoning, and it's an insane card in this build. You could change it out for a different hand trap if you want to, for a more budget option, but this card is just actually insane to be able to play in the build, just to stop your opponent's plays from special summoning. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. This card is absolutely gorgeous. I love the card artwork of this card, and when it's summoned out to your side of the field, you're usually going to win the game. This card has the ability that the original attack of this card becomes 500 times the number of banished monsters, and if this card is synchro summoned during your opponent's turn, you can actually banish all cards on the field. And during the standby phase of the next turn after this card was banished from the monster zone, you can special summon this banished card, which is an insane ability to be able to use because it just comes back to your side of the field absolutely massive for you able to swing in for game. Let's see a copy of the Sword Soul Supreme Sovereign. This card gets massive in this build and helps us drop down our opponent's attack points down depending on the amount of cards that are banished, because for every banished card, this card gains 100 attacking events and monster opponent control lose 100 attacking events. And this card would be destroyed by a card effect. You can actually banish a card from your grave instead, which is really cool to help you banish your Ghoti cards from the graveyard. And if a card becomes banished, you can actually banish a card from each your opponent's field and grave, non-targeting, which is a pretty cool effect. I'm going to see a copy of Dragite. Dragite is really good to be able to play as a spell trap negate and just a really cool card in the deck. I'm going to see a copy of White Aura Whale. White Aura Whale is one of my favorite cards to be able to summon, as when this card is synchro summoning, you destroy all your opponent's monsters in attack position. This card can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, and if it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing damage to your opponent, which is insane. We then play 2 copies of Askin. Askin is really good as a 2-of in the build, as if this card is synchro summon, you can actually target a fish monster you control and a card your opponent controls and banish them, meaning it can actually target itself. And if this card is banished, you can actually banish a fish monster in the graveyard to special summon this card, which is just going to help you basically banish your fish monsters from the graveyard to keep going in for your plays. This card is definitely a 2-of in the build, just an awesome card to be able to summon in this deck. We then play 2 copies of Serpent of the Ghoti. Serpent is really good as a 2-of in the build and one of the most important cards in the entire deck that you want to summon out as quickly as possible, which is so cool about Aspen School because you can just summon it and then summon a level 2 tuner and then instantly step into this card. This card ability, if it's synchro summoned, you can actually banish a level 6 or lower fish monster from the deck, which is a crazy powerful effect, so you can bring back your tuner to your side of the field, and during the opponent's turn, you can instantly step into a synchro play. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, you can actually target a fish monster in the graveyard and banish that target, then add a fish monster with an equal or lower level from your deck to your hand, instantly grabbing an additional fish, which is really cool. Then play a single copy of White Aura Porpoise. Porpoise is really good because if this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon a level 4 lower fish monster from the hand of the grave in defense position. Then you can special summon 1 monster with the same name from your graveyard, which is a pretty cool effect. My single copy of Toxic Boxfish. This card is an awesome new card we just got out of Alliance Insight. With the ability, if it's synchro summoned, you can target a card in either player's grave and banish it. And if this card is banished, you can actually target a face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to use, but I absolutely love this card as a 1-of in the build. Like a single copy of number 4. Number 4 is great just to do some burn damage to the opponent and turn everything on the field into water, which is actually insane to be able to do, making this card a definite 1-of the build. Plus, it's super easy to step into with your copy of Abyss Shark. It's just a really good 1-of in the deck. My single copy of Typhon. Typhon's great to help you bounce cards off the field and also use this card as a skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack with monsters. With my single copy of Coral Anemone. Coral Anemone is great as a 1-of in the build, just to help you bring back your monsters to your side of the field. And then finally, play a single copy of Abyss Keeper. Abyss Keeper is great in the deck because this card is an insane ability that if this card is Ling Summon, you can actually special summon a fish monster from your hand to a zone this card points to. And you can target one other fish monster that you control and a card your opponent controls and banish those cards, which is a great effect to help you spot move cards off the field while also getting your Ghoti cards into rotation. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Ghoti deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's so fun to be able to play, especially with the new support. I absolutely love Aspa School, and it's just such a cool card to be able to play in this deck. So that's gonna do for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification, become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.